replacing a singer is really tough. Like that's usually a death blow for a band, or at least like a big setback, especially with Tommy being such a big focus and a big personality, that it had to be at least a little bit scary, to replace him. Of like, man, we've come so far, but you got to do what you got to do. It seems like, with getting DL on the band, you guys didn't skip a beat at all. And in my opinion, he sounds a lot better. And I know we talked about it a little bit at the time when you were looking for someone new, but what was going through your head back then?
It's a good question.
Like, am I going to have to start all over again? That kind of thing.
I think it's very hard to distinguish what we were going through in terms of like, finding a singer and the acrimony that was being like publicly aired. And it was, that environment was very toxic, and, it's like a lot of bands have replaced singers, have replaced members, but very few bands have had like an active public campaign to like thwart the process.
Right.
And I think the big, like the long-term lesson from that is that things like that hurt everyone, right? Everyone loses. But it's just something we had, like, I kind of found a point within that process of going, this is how life is. Sometimes, like, you don't get the idealized version of things like this. You are defined by your adversity and how you react to it. So for me, it became a point in my life where I was like, I need to figure out how to be at peace with this and control what I control and go, this is going to be tough, but you're tough. You will find out how tough you are by how you kind of deal with it. And I think for us, it was, we were under the gun because essentially the label wanted to get a record out like ASAP. And we had almost, 60-70% of record ready to go. It was just a matter of getting the person. So it was a real protracted period of time that we kind of was like, I think maybe we took 3 or 4 weeks of like getting demos and people sending stuff in. And then maybe we took another month of like seeing people in person to audition. And then the last step, we had people do like record new songs. And kind of all those processes of like hearing people on old songs, seeing them in the room, kind of catch their vibe, and then that last piece. But the truth is with DL, man, it just sounded the most like the band. Mm-hmm. And he's such a talent. Like, and the truth is, like with someone like DL, we felt he'd be such an asset because he's a great producer, he's a great songwriter. Yeah. There's songs on the new album, like he played the guitar solos on 2 songs, and it's like I can't even go like, no, I need to do. It's like thick as fuck. I'm like, God damn, like he's probably a better guitar player than I am. Like it's messed up.
Yeah, people don't realize what a talented musician he is in general.
Yeah, it's actually nuts. Like he's a great drummer, and and then on the new album that's not out yet, his voice sounds that much better. His like enunciation is better. He's doing some rapping shit on there. He's discovered this like deathcore voice. Like he's kind of one of these guys that can kind of like not only do a lot, but he's constantly learning new things. And
I assume you knew him from touring and stuff back in the day, so you had some like personal comfortability there.
Dude, I remember the day I met DL, 2004, Acacia Strain.
He was scary as shit back then too.
Well, to me, he reminded me of like the younger version of me because he had a shaved head. He kind of, we had like the same guitar. He kind of borrowed the Doc Cole headbang. Like the reason why my back is bad now because I had this fucking devastating headbang that probably has cost me some years off of my life. But it was like we would play this venue in Springfield, Massachusetts called Fat Cats, and all like the big metalcore bands, whether it was All That Remains or Unearth or Diecast or Killswitch, they would open up for us when we play there. I don't know why. I feel like they were like sandbagging us, but we were just really popular in that town. But we would always headline, but it always went well. And then, but this time, Acacia Strain opened for us, and it did not go well. These motherfuckers blew us off stage. Like, like half the place left. I was dejected. And then, but what made it feel good is, I saw DL play, and then he was like, in the front row, like fucking moshing and singing all the words to God Forbid. So I knew, I was like, oh, he's the homie from day one, because he showed us love, and we did a couple tours together. And yeah, it's just always, he was on my podcast before, way years before he was in the band. And so
Which, to your point before, that's a big part of, picking someone that you're going to live in a bus with for months out of the year, is you need to know this is someone you can get along with.
Yeah. I mean, he's so easygoing. He's just, he's a dad, he's just like,
yeah,
and he's just a very, very nice person, which is like rare for singers. But I think he doesn't, even though he's like the singer, he probably doesn't think of himself as a singer.
Right.
In his mind, he's just a guitar player. So he doesn't.
And by the way, I still think his guitar tone on Wormwood is like one of the heaviest fucking tones ever recorded. It's absurd.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, he's actually a very influential figure for like that whole genre, that I feel like, because he stopped touring with the band and kind of became a behind the scenes guy. Like, unless you were around back then, a lot of people don't realize how much he influenced so many people, that the local tunings and those riffs. And, he's just one of those guys. And it's ironic now, because now, like, he wants to do the most poppy shit with Bad Wolves. He doesn't want to play any of that shit. But that process, man, it was harrowed, but we felt like it wasn't like, it was this weird thing where you thought, oh man, we're this big band, and there's just going to be like 100 people out there that can do the. And it was when you go out there and you really look for people that can do a diversity of things and also like kind of fit a sound. It's like you realize, oh, there's about like
4.
Yeah. Like people that actually could make sense for this job. And it's, and you hear it all the time, especially out in LA, because it's like people will be putting band together. So, any singers? And you're like, well, I need to, and basically they all want the same thing. They want someone who's 25, who looks cool, who's got like a neck tattoo, who can sing, who can scream, who, doesn't party too hard, that like, and they just don't make those people are just, they're one in a million. Maybe there's some guy in Sweden or some girl somewhere, that has all that stuff. But usually those people they have to go out on their own band and become that person. But most of those people that can do that are already in bands, so it's rare where you just kind of find like this diamond and this superstar in the making. But we had some great candidates, but everyone ultimately felt DL was the best choice, and he's done a great job. And a lot of it is learning on the job, like, because we knew the recordings, he was going to be amazing. It was like, but the job that was really new to him was being the front man, playing live, going out there and kind of like, how would he connect to the crowd? How would he talk to people? How would he move? Like, he had to learn that stuff kind of on the fly, and in every tour he got better and better and better and better. And I think, now we go out, do shows, it's like, I know he's going to kill it, because he's got the reps in, and he's a hard worker. And he's super dedicated, and for us, like, from the outside looking in, of course, it looks like, things are just perfect, but, it is a rebuilding process for us. Like, we've, if you kind of have some wins going against you, you have to kind of calibrate yourself. And so for us, it was a lot of that was just like getting on the road, being in front of the people, showing kind of the new package. But we did feel like the last record, because of everything, was like rushed out a little bit, and the setup wasn't exactly what we wanted to be, and all that's trying to be corrected on this next record, which feels in more ways like the first record with DL, because he was there from the entire beginning process. And I think it's more reflective of what he wants. There's a couple, 2 or 3 songs that are just his songs, And
with someone who's a musician of his caliber, you want him there from the beginning.
Absolutely. Well, we're almost in a situation now, because our original guitar player, Max, came back, who started the band with John, and he's a fucking musical genius too. So it's like, there's so much kind of writing talent, and he's a great producer as well. Like, where it's like, it's hard to even